Welcome to the astrology for the week of September 17th through 23rd of this year. We begin the week with a square from Venus to Jupiter. This happens on Sunday, the 17th. So, what is going to be going on with this particular square? Well, any square indicates tension between the two planets. The two planets are fighting, they are at war. There is some conflict between the two energies, and they're going in very different directions. Not opposite directions, but certainly different directions. So we have Venus and Leo wanting to put on a show and be very passionate and be very creative and express the love that you have from your heart, and be Venus and Leo is very dynamic and very focused on, am I respected and loved for being exactly who I am in this relationship? And Venus and Leo also relates to things like crowns and that kind of, jewelry, and things that you put on yourself and clothes that you wear that make you feel grand. Jupiter in Taurus is about financial abundance. It's about moving in the direction of what you value. It wants stability and security, and it just cares about the simple things in life, the finer things in life, like roof over your head, food, do I have enough money? All those kind of things, especially creature comforts. And so that's what that energy is. So Taurus wants security, things to be the same. It's very simple. Leo wants all the bells and whistles, the glitz and glam, wants to live life to the fullest, and go out, meet new people, shout from the rooftops, drive in a red car to a Mexican restaurant where you meet a bunch of people and show off how, good you are. That's Leo energy. So we have this square from Leo and Taurus. Now, whenever you have a square from one sign to another sign, you're talking about the merging and the overlap of axes. So you have 4 signs in one mode. So fixed signs, in this case, are very stubborn and also very willful. Once they say that they're going to do something, they are going to achieve it to the ends of the earth. Fixed signs include Taurus, Scorpio, Leo, and Aquarius. Now, when 2 signs from the same mode, the other modes being cardinal and mutable, when 2 signs square each other, you're talking about, let's say, Taurus is opposite to Scorpio. And if Taurus is going to be squaring any sign, it's going to be the other axis. So we have 2 axes, Taurus Scorpio and the Leo Aquarius axis. So we take the Taurus from the Taurus Scorpio axis and we square it to Leo in the Leo Aquarius axis. So when a planet is not conjunct a sign in the same mode or not opposite a sign in that same mode, it is squared that sign. It is 90 degrees. 90 degree, the hottest corner of the room. 90 degrees, it's very hot, in terms of temperature. And so things really heat up when there's a square. It represents like when 2 people are arguing and when there's a heated conversation between 2 people. When they're at odds, when there's a disagreement, when there's a dispute, when there is a clash of egos, then we have a war in our hands when one is fighting against the other, and that is a square energy. And squares also hone a light on what is not working for us, with shining a light on the downsides of whatever 2 planets are making that square. And it asks us to make a change in one way or another. And when we can face the truth of what's not working, and then we make changes when we face that truth and have that awareness, we really can maximize and make the most of and use the square energy to our benefit and make it mean something for us. And when that square leaves, we've made that change. We've gotten rid of what no longer serves us. So that's just how it works. Now, all of that to say, Venus squaring Jupiter. This is an interesting square because Venus and Jupiter are the two benefic energies in astrology. Both deal with pleasure and luck and joy and abundance and love. Venus is what you love, what you find beautiful, what you are attracted to. Who are you attracted to? What kind of relationships do you enjoy? How do you want to approach your relationships? What are the people that most turn you on and light you up? And how, what is your love language, your love making style? It's also indicated by Venus, your Venus sign in your natal chart. Venus is also what you find joy in, what you enjoy doing. And then Jupiter is about, first of all, it is about growth and expansion. Wherever Jupiter goes, it just makes it tenfold. It blows it up to the extremes. Jupiter wants to turn up the volume. Jupiter is an amplifier. So it enters a sign, and you take all those themes, positive and negative things, and you just amp it up. You turn up the volume, as I said before. So Jupiter is about growth and expansion, and let's make the most of life. Let's, approach life, by the horns or, by the balls. Jupiter is, wants to have fun and wants to, overindulge. And that's the downside of Jupiter, is an excess of things, overindulgence. And, what you find beautiful, what you find pleasurable, or full of pleasure in your life. And also, you may have a lot of great ideas for what you want to achieve out in the real world. You may have these dreams and visions and aspirations, but you don't really have the substantial, grit and bones and building blocks to, make it happen. There isn't a checklist where you do one thing and check it off the list. You're not actually building something concrete in the physical world. You just have your idea and your promise and your your dream, but without the substantial follow through and manifestation. So Jupiter in astrology is your spiritual ideology, your spiritual outlook on life. It also corresponds to philosophy. It deals with your moral and ethical values on life. So it's also a very intellectual planet. Jupiter rules Sagittarius, and Sagittarius is symbolized by the centaur, half human, half horse. The horse is the wild one, the free one, who wants to, make the most of life and, as I said before, take it by the balls. And then the human part of you is the intellectual, philosophical part of you. So it's known as the Great Benefic. It also corresponds on what you do for fun, your leisure activities, things that you do for recreational purposes. So this square, really doesn't make the two benefic planets all that drained and watered down. However, there are some aspects of this square that I want to get into. First of all, this square may make more people feel more outgoing on the social level, where you just feel all of a sudden you might feel the need or the want to go out and meet new people. You might want to engage with friends or talk to somebody or engage with somebody in whatever way that you want to, and meet whoever you want to and have as long of a conversation as you want with them. And this may be a good time to do that. If there's people in your world that you feel like, I wish I could connect with them on a more deep level, or have fun with them, or do things with them, or um, interact with them in some sense. This may be a good transit for that. So Venus is, Jupiter is a social planet. Venus is about connection and relationships. It just is a great attractor. That's what Venus is. It attracts in love and abundance, and connection. So it wants to bring people closer together. It wants to harmonize. So it's great for connecting with people and bouncing ideas off each other and learning and sharing experiences and really enjoying the value of good conversation where your mind is getting stimulated and you can open up your mind to new ideas. And yeah, so it's a more optimistic outward energy where you feel that it's easier now to have fun and get outside of yourself and engage with the world in some way, shape, or form. Um, there is a luck and an optimism, and a warmth to this energy. But we are talking about a square, so the square highlights the negatives of two planets, because it's a malefic aspect. Squares are very much correlated to the energy of Saturn in astrology, which deals with challenges and restrictions and limitations and setbacks. So, Saturn's where you must work really, really hard to try to, get to the top of the mountain of. So, I have a whole nother video on Saturn and astrology. I may link it below. You can go check it out on my channel. I'm going to be doing a whole series of videos on Saturn through the signs, starting this week. So from Aries to Pisces. So definitely keep an eye out for that, and look forward to those videos coming out. I have the first video, the introduction to that series, where I talk about an in-depth explanation of the meaning of the planet Saturn in astrology. Now, this square may bring up some gluttony and some overindulgence. So what are you overindulging in? What are you overdoing? Is it overeating? Eating too much sugar? Watching too many videos? Spending too much time inside? Feeding certain habit patterns that are obsessive compulsive that are not serving you? Whatever it may be. What are you overdoing or allowing yourself to overindulge in? Where are you not drawing a line in the sand and drawing a boundary to that thing that you are overindulging in? Where, nope, I'm going to say no to myself, and I'm not going to do that thing. I'm going to cut that back. I'm going to respect myself, and I'm going to value my body. I'm going to value my peace, my physical, mental well-being, and I'm going to say no. What do you need to say no to? And it's not that you have to entirely go cold turkey and cut whatever indulgence you want out of your life. It can be cutting it back. Just cutting it back a little bit. Limiting it back just a little bit. Just a little. Where you're not overdoing that thing. So what do you need to cut back? For me, it's certain, habit patterns that I am engaging in, and compulsions that I'm working on not giving into, but it's sort of dicey. So, overindulgence, where you just want to feel like you just want to, why not pamper myself and make the most of the moment and, do all the things and, um, read or overwatch or, overwork. This can also be because Jupiter is in Taurus, it deals with, an earth sign. Maybe it can be overworking yourself, like maybe overindulging in fixing things or cleaning or working on a particular project for a certain outcome. Maybe it can be, um, just biting off more than you can chew in terms of what you can, deal with when it comes to your work or your career. So yeah, whatever this means for you. Now, we also saw this aspect on August 22nd. So maybe you can just do a little bit of thinking back to what were you potentially overdoing, overindulging in, um, gluttonizing. I made up that word. What um, needed some fine tunement and some restriction and some barrier of where you are not going to the extremes, because Jupiter is an extreme energy. So you can think back to what occurred around that time, and maybe you didn't use the square to your advantage, meaning that you didn't cut back that restriction yet enough, and you didn't have the awareness. You didn't have the awareness to look at it in the eye, in the face, in reality, and go, no, I need to cut this back. This is not working. I am doing this. This is excessive. All those kind of things and all of that dialogue, which is your inner authority, which is um, your logical left side of your mind that is very black and white, is very rational when it comes to decisions that you're making. So, what didn't you cut back as much as you wanted to then that you can redeem yourself now and go, okay, I had that opportunity. I didn't cut it back like I wanted to then. So, this time around, on this particular day, at this particular time, I make this decision to to really put a marker on this day that I'm going to cut this back. This is not working. And when you cut it back, or when you let something go, that allows more space for you to enjoy more new things in your life that you wanted to get to. Maybe you were overdoing this particular activity over here, and it was taking away your focus and your time of the energy that you can invest in with an activity over there. Um, and, you may feel that maybe this can also be like, okay, I'm going to make some changes. I'm going to cut this back even more, or I'm going to allow myself to engage in this if I'm being too restrictive or, rigid about my boundaries. And maybe I can, make some room for indulging in this and having fun. Whatever it is for you, however you want to test and measure this energy out in your life. And this square is very significant because it is the third square that we are having from Venus and Jupiter during Venus retrograde in Leo, or Venus in Leo. Venus has been in Leo since June 5th, and it has been having us do a deep psychic surgery on our lovemaking, on our creative joy and passion, and what lights us up, what gives us the juice and the zest for life. What do we want that comes from a place of emotional truth? All of those themes and areas relate to Venus and Leo, and I will say it again that you can go check out my Venus and Leo transit video on my channel, because I go into way more depth in discussing this transit on that video. But, so yeah. So this is the square. So over indulgence. This can also be making it very difficult to actually pick up motivation and do things that require hard work and things that require discipline and really being very focused and being very centered and being very diligent about the results that you want to see in your life, where it requires deep focus, commitment, and hard work. I'm just going to say that again. So it may be a more difficult time where you may feel less motivation and you may have to push yourself more to do certain things, like, work out or do the work that you need to do, or read this particular book because you made a promise to yourself that you were going to read this part of this book and this amount of pages in this book, that it may be more challenging to stick to those promises that you make to yourself, to stick to those intentions that you made unconsciously or consciously at that new moon in Virgo last week. So it's almost like the universe is sending us a test, like, okay, we had that Virgo new moon last week when you were super practical and you were super detail oriented and you made a plan and you set your new intentions. You're going to be very detail oriented in this area. You're going to be very health conscious in this area. You're going to focus on your health, your daily routines. And now we're going to send you a test with putting these two benefic planets in a square to see how committed are you and how willing are you to commit to all those things that you said and you intended that you were going to do at that Virgo new moon. This is how I feel that this energy is presenting itself here this week. So I was seeing on an Instagram story, Mel Robbins, who is a lawyer. I believe that she's a life coach. Her work is all about getting yourself to do what you don't want to do, but getting yourself to have the ambition and the positive mindset, which deals with, self-love and self-confidence and the belief in yourself that you can do it as part of it, but really pushing yourself and having the optimism and the drive to achieve what you want to, even when you don't feel like it. Stop screwing yourself over saying that I'm fine with not having this, or I'll wait on this. I was seeing Mel Robbins, she talks a lot about procrastination and why people procrastinate, and getting into the science of how people procrastinate, why people procrastinate. And on one of her Instagram stories, she was saying how she did not want to work out, but I, effing did it anyway, even though I didn't feel like it. So anyway, yes, acknowledge the feminine and that, we are human beings, not human doings. And, allow yourself to enjoy human nature. But I'm talking here with this aspect about overindulging in certain things. So, and something else with this particular aspect that I just want to touch on is spending. What are you spending? Maybe you are attracted to all these things in a store, or all of these food items, or whatever it is that you are spending, buying. So that's also something to look out for. Hoarding, accumulating too many things. We are talking about Taurian energy, and we are talking about Leo energy. And I find that with a Venus-Jupiter square in Leo and Taurus, that adds yet another layer of indulgence. Yet another layer. And I say that because Leo is very, very materialistic. It has an eye for what it loves and what it finds beautiful. And Leo just wants to live free and easy, basically. Live for today, live for the moment, says Leo. Says every Leo. Well, not every Leo, but anyway. Depends on what you have going on in your chart. And then Taurus can at worst be a hoarder. That's if you have your South Node in Taurus, then you might want to take a look at the things around your house that you do not need and give them away. Give them away. That allows more space for you to enjoy your life and find that sense of abundance that you are craving. Guess what? Taurus South Nodes. It's not in the material realm. It is in the spiritual and internal realm. It is the wealth that you have inside of you, and it's about just enjoying things without having to buy things. That money can't buy happiness. Enjoying things without having to own them. Just enjoy what you have. And find a sense of gratitude in what you have already. So that is something good. So watching your money, watching your spending is super important. Maybe it's over giving to somebody, overdoing it with something, just an over generosity in general with this energy. So moderation is key. I will say it one last time. Whatever you're overindulging in, moderate it. Now I'm going to move on. So that's enough about Venus squaring Jupiter. Now I'm going to get into the next big aspect that the Sun is making this particular week. This week's theme is the Sun aspects to outer planets. So all throughout this Virgo season, the Sun is making aspects to all the other planets, Jupiter through Pluto. So the Sun already opposed Saturn. It already was in trine with Uranus. It squared Jupiter, or it's going to square Jupiter on Sunday this week. So right as we enter the week, the Sun is going to oppose Neptune, and then it's going to trine Pluto. I'll get into the trine later on in this video. But the Sun opposite Neptune aspect. Oppositions are when planets are 180 degrees apart from each other in the sky. They are at opposite signs. So the Sun in Virgo is opposite to Neptune in Pisces at the latter degrees of Pisces and Virgo. When we have oppositions, we have the two planets not getting along. They are going in different directions. They're not seeing eye to eye. There is not necessarily conflict, but like this is going on. It's hard to come together. But integration is the medicine where we want to find the best of both worlds and pair them together. That's what we need to do with an opposition. How to use oppositions is we take the best of Virgo energy and Pisces energy and we blend the two together. So we take the best of being focused on the details of your life, your health, taking care of your physical body, having your feet on the ground, putting in the steps to achieve this goal, paying attention to the little things versus the dream, the vision for your life, the self-love and compassion for yourself when it comes to that process of getting what you want, trusting the universe. So that's the two the two positive sides of that energy, those two energies, Virgo and Pisces energy, that we need to blend together and we need to merge together as Pisces really wants to do. And find the best of both worlds and find that sweet spot where we can move in one direction and we will be golden. Alrighty, so Sun opposite Neptune. Neptune is in its home sign. It's been there since 2011, 2012. It's going to stay there until 2025. And I just want to make a little note about 2025. That is going to be the year when the North Node is going to be moving into Pisces. The South Node is going to be moving into Virgo. And as the North Node's going to move into Neptune's domain, where Neptune's been for many, many years, Neptune is then going to move into Aries in that particular year. And that's where the North Node was prior to the North Node moving into Pisces on January 11th of 2025, which is a couple of years from now. But this is going to be super huge. So the North Node moves backwards, Neptune moves forwards, but it retrogrades for, about 5 months or so every year. So 2025 in its frequency appears to be a year where the world might need some help. People might need some help. Something may happen in 2025 that may cause for disaster, and it may be an intense year. It may be a very active, wild year where a lot of people need to look to their daily devotion, their spiritual practice, and get grounded. I mean, it appears to be a really significant and kind of maybe even a challenging year in some aspects. So Neptune's going to move into Aries in that year. So anyway, so Neptune rules over psychic things like that. It rules over spiritual receptivity. It rules over the divine feminine. And Neptune governs living at the 5 dimension. It's a really popular spiritual concept now where you are living from a place of a higher frequency. Neptune deals with what is ethereal, what you are doing that is higher vibration, high frequency. Is it any form like music and all those kind of things? It rules over film, it rules over singing, it rules over tapping into divine love, it rules over just sitting on your couch at home and getting into an altered state and tapping into love, oneness, inner peace. And true love for others comes from you nourishing yourself and tapping into love for yourself. Neptune really deals with spiritual self-love. And Neptune's retrograde, so we are doing some deep work on healing and accepting ourselves and spiritually nourishing ourselves. And Chiron's retrograde, so we are reviewing how we respond and react and how hurt we are based off of the wounds that we have. So it's reviewing what we feel to be our wounds. That's Chiron retrograde. And I speak about that in the weekly horoscope for the week of July 23rd through the 29th of this year. You can go check out that video to see what I have to say about that, because I go really in depth with it. But anyway, so Neptune rules over all those things, altered states, love. I could go through a whole list of traits that Neptune rules over. And it deals with just love for ourselves and others in the deepest, highest spiritual way. Venus, in astrology, the planet of love in relationship, is exalted in the sign of Pisces. So it's like Venus is love, but then Pisces is like, turning up the volume, where, Venus is just, it gone to heaven. And it's in Pisces. And so, anyway, Neptune. Also, we are talking about an opposition here. So this video is not about Neptune. So, oppositions are, 180 degrees. So we're talking about illusions, disillusions. Those are downsides of Neptune. We're talking about boundaries. That's actually the first thing that I want to speak about. Your boundaries may get crossed. Maybe, maybe not. Be aware of if your boundaries are getting crossed. What are you taking in on an energetic level, and how is that affecting your system, your mind, your spiritual well-being? Is it uplifting you? Is it calming you? Is it bringing you peace? Is it bringing you love into a state of spiritual oneness and contentment in your life? Or is it pulling you down, dragging you down, instilling fear in you, instilling pessimism, or um, where you're caught up, like watching the nightly news and caught up in how, whatever's going on in the 3D level, as Pam Gregory talks about, where maybe, just like the Venus-Jupiter square, over watching the news and getting that into your system, and then it's affecting you on an emotional level, for example, and it's making you feel very dark and gloomy and very unoptimistic and very, maybe even anxious and depressed and in a state of sorrow about life. So drawing healthy boundaries to the people that that drain you, that emotionally, mentally exhaust you, that make you angry, that cross your boundaries, all those kind of things. But actually, we can take a look at boundaries as we are the only ones to cross our own boundaries. It is up to us, the sun, you, the individual, the identity, the giver of life to yourself and others. You run the ship. That's the sun. The sun is who you are. You live your life. Basically, you live your life. You be you. Just be authentic. It's very, very, very simple energy. And so you're the only one to cross your own boundaries. So where do you need to draw healthy boundaries? If it's too good to be true, it is. If something looks good, inviting, interesting, whatever it is on the surface, on the shiny surface, it's all glittery and filled with gold and all those kind of things like that. And see how when you're presented with an opportunity, if something feels like it's so good that it's too good to be true, it's too good, it is too good because it's not real. The siren song. I mean, I feel like I keep coming back to this analogy over and over again in this comparison. And, the Odyssey, that the sirens singing is just so inviting. It's too good to be true. I mean, that is something to watch out for here. So take off the rose-colored glasses and tap into your intuition. Does this opportunity feel right? Did I mention the day that this aspect is occurring? It's September 19th, if I didn't mention it. So if it does not register as feeling right, if it registers as something is off here, something feels too good to be true, then I would not take advantage of that opportunity and just pass it on by. Just say no. Just, don't look, as the saying goes. So, another aspect to this opposition is not really wanting to see things as they are, not wanting to face reality, where you just want to escape and go off, do your own thing. So it may be difficult to see things clearly, to understand things clearly, because the sun is your conscious awareness. It is your rational, logical view of life. It's right. Mercury is the closest planet to the sun. So Mercury is the mind, how you think, how you communicate, and your logical view of life. And the sun is your conscious awareness. It's, the power generator. That's what the sun is. So when it is in opposition to Neptune, it may be hard to get out there and face reality. So watch for certain habit patterns of escapism, whatever that might be, drugs and alcohol, video games and overdoing it with video games, whatever it is. But at best, it can be great for spiritual work and spiritual practices, really, really getting in tune with the spiritual side of your life and really deepening your spiritual connection to a higher power, doing what brings you bliss, tapping into oneness. So that's how you can best use this particular energy. Another downside is deceit. Like if someone is giving you a deal and it feels too good to be true, and so be aware of if you're going into a situation and somebody's offering you something, there may be an underhand motive and tactic behind that. So, don't be deceived by what you see at face value. Investigate, ask questions, and just trust your intuition with what feels right, what doesn't. There could also be some challenges with having clarity, having a sense of direction of this is what I want to do, this is where I want to go. So decision making over the decisions that you're making, the choices that you're making, may be more challenging. There's this vagueness or this confusion, maybe this lack of focus, over something, maybe. Where are you just blindly trusting somebody, blindly going along with whatever sounds good that somebody else says, whatever they have going on that you are blindly trusting and going along with and surrendering to, but guess what? In order to have a balloon, you need helium in that balloon. In order to drive a car, you have to fill it up with gas. You need to be very, I don't want to sound preachy, but being discerning and asking questions into something is super duper important. So, discernment over what is right for you and what isn't right. What is, who's going to deliver you the results that you want, who isn't. These kind of things are super important. Now, the other thing that we have going on this week is on September 21st, we have, wait a second. On September 21st, we have the Sun trining Pluto. So a trine is an aspect of great harmony. When two planets trine one another, it brings out the best qualities in those two planetary energies in the signs that they are in. So, the sun and, trines are between two signs of the same element. So, we have the sun in Virgo and Pluto in Capricorn at the anaretic degrees. So, the Sun Trine Pluto. This is a great aspect for going at something with gusto, passion, with intensity, with commitment, where you're giving it all you got, and you are doing all that you can to achieve it. So you may feel more fierce or determined or passionate on something that you want to get, that you want to have, or so giving it all you got is something here. It's also great for digging into occult topics, digging into things like esoteric knowledge or astrology, and it's great for digging to the surface of things, really, really investigating, finding the true answers of something, where you're going deep within the depths of something and you are digging up, like an archaeologist digging up something and finding what is underneath the surface of things, and then revealing up that treasure, that that discovery that they've just came across. They didn't just come across, they dug into the dirt to find that, whatever it is, that skeleton or that fossil from a dinosaur or something like that. So it can be great for digging deep into the root core of something, to find the absolute truth of something and not giving up until you get there. But this can also be an aspect that deals with, that has a very spiritual energy, a very dark spiritual energy. Pluto is the dark spiritual sort of codon. This can be where you might have a profound spiritual experience that may be not all that profound. It may be just a realization, or some type of profound spiritual experience where you transform something. It can be small or big, where you transform something, where you let something die that no longer works for you. Where you eliminate something, where you let go of something. This is an aspect that deals a lot with, purging things, eliminating things that don't, no longer work for you. And the sun is personal power, and Pluto is definitely empowerment and definitely power. It deals over power. The P for Pluto stands for power. So you want to harness your power in huge ways. So harnessing that power that is vested inside of you, and using it for whatever you want to see in your reality. So what do you want to fight for? What are you willing to go after that you can't be quiet about? And then Pluto is also about true strength. So finding true strength that has nothing to do with how muscular you are, nothing to do with how strong physically you are, but it deals with you have this strength because you've endured this crisis, or you endured this experience that was really difficult and cumbersome and monotonous, and it did a number on you, and you got put through the ringer, and you had a challenge, or or whatever it may be. But through that experience, through those tough times, you rose out of that like the phoenix rising out of the ashes, and you found strength and resilience from that experience. This can be great for tapping into the motivations of other people, tapping into what is going on in your environment, in your physical space, in your life, where it would be good to dig below the surface of what's going on and have deep conversations with people to understand what they really want and what they're really feeling and what's going on for them at a psychic, spiritual level. Having those kind of deep conversations, and self-realization, finding that power within yourself, finding that light within yourself, is something also here. Now, this is the last week of Virgo season. We have the sun entering Libra on September 23rd. It obviously marks the autumn equinox, and I believe that I have a live stream that I'm going to go on. We're talking about the meaning of the autumn equinox in spirituality and astronomy and astrology, and maybe getting into an oracle reading or something like that. So I may end up doing that celebration for that live stream on next weekend. So I'll announce that in the community tab of my channel on Facebook and Instagram sometime, maybe not, I don't know, when we get closer to that time. But the sun is entering Libra on September 23rd. So, in astrology, although this is not necessarily what I believe, the sun is considered detriment, or no, the sun is considered fall in Libra. So the sun is about you, who you are, your ego identity, your image. The sun is the center of who you are, that you radiate out and you spread all of your light and warmth to everywhere else outside and around that circle. The sun in Libra is what is on the outside of that circle. So the sun in Libra can be checking in with people and overly accommodating, and do you mind if I do this, as opposed to just doing it just because you want to and you feel the fire and the impulse to do that, which sounds a lot like Aries energy. And the sun is exalted in the sign of Aries. It rules the sign of Leo. And the sun in Gemini is sort of in the middle in terms of the comparative pecking order of the sun through the signs and astrology. So the sun in Libra, this particular go around, and Libra season next year. So for the 30 days from September 23rd through October 22nd. Last year, by the way, we had something super profound. We had what was considered to be a Venus-Sun conjunction, or what is considered cazimi. And cazimi means the heart of the sun. So when the sun and when another planet is close to the sun, and the sun brings out really beautiful parts and aspects of that planet, it is considered cazimi. When the sun burns out that planet and takes its power away, or it gets too close to the sun and the sun burns it away, it's considered combust. So that's a little astrology terminology. And I may introduce what the moon void of course means when we get to the full moon in Aries on the 29th of September of next week, when the moon is not making any aspects to any other planets. It's going to be a really wild full moon. I'll talk about that when we get there. We'll see what I want to talk about when we get there. But we had that conjunction of the sun in Libra at 29 degrees and the Venus in Libra at 29 degrees, both about to move into Scorpio on October 23rd, the day after. So we had that aspect last year. And so this Libra season and next Libra season are going to be more profound. Why? The South Node is in Libra. So this season of the Sun in Libra is illuminating what we are working with the South Node in Libra, North Node in Aries themes. So we are purging tendencies of being too people-pleasing, too overly accommodating, where we are so tuned into the environment and we have all this information, but we're not doing anything with it. We have all these choices and options, but we're not making a decision and going after something. We can be self-sacrificing, and we prioritize harmony at all costs, where we may not want to rock the boat during the South Node in Libra and the Sun in Libra. We don't want to rock the boat and cause disharmony. Just doing what's best for the other person and not for yourself. That can be another downside of Libra energy. But at best, it is good for meeting new people, good for socializing with others. It's good for seeing things from the eyes of others and seeing the multifaceted different perspectives of things. So putting yourself in others' shoes, seeing things through the lens and the perspective of other people, taking others' opinions and viewpoints and desires into account in addition to your own. Opening up to that, being very open-minded and humble when it comes to that kind of concepts, that context. This season can also be great for taking a step back and detaching and seeing things from a higher perspective. And this is great for any kind of diplomacy, making peace within people, finding solutions, especially given the political climate in the U.S. right now. It's also great for negotiations. This season's great for negotiating, and making healthy compromises, finding the solutions to things. And another thing is, any kind of art and beauty and engaging in that side of life is also great things to do during this time. And also, Libra is symbolized by the scales. So there is this element of wanting things to be in tandem and balanced out. So commerce and trade and things like that is super important, where we can look at the sun shines light on what are we overdoing, what is not in balance in our life, and what needs to be brought into greater balance and greater harmony in our life. So that's something to think about during this Libra season. But anyway, I hope that you found value and insight from this video on the astrology for the week. Take care. Choose diplomacy. Choose to be open-minded. Harness your power. Reflect on your spiritual journey. And have a great week.